Thanks. Good morning, everybody. So just quickly to get into my presentation, what I try to cover is what has been happening in the past in this hotel industry, and what we're looking at the trends in the last few years, and what we're going to see as the emerging themes which we have been, what we think are going to come up in the next few years. So if you really look at this timeline, the first start was in 1966 when we had ITDC, and then we had a separate ministry. I think the next big event was the Asian Games in 1982 when we had a spurt in hotels, especially in the NCR region. If we go further and look at it from a foreign investment perspective, when we opened up our economy in 1991, one of the first industries which was opened up was hotels, with a 51% foreign direct investment permitted in it. Now obviously 100% is permitted in hotels, and that's obviously a transition. Another couple of important events, I think, was the 2002, the Incredible India campaign, which really put India on the map and brought in a lot of foreign tourists and really put India in front of the tourist world. As we have moved across, I think the e-visa facility has really put both a lot of more impetus for more foreign tourist arrivals, because it's made it much easier to travel into India. And now we will have the Incredible India 2.0, which is going to be in this year. If we look at the contribution of the hotel industry to India, it contributes 9.4% of the GDP. It contributes about 8% of the jobs, and quite importantly, it also contributes 1/3 of the foreign exchange earnings of India come from the hotel industry. The other point that I think we should look at is that foreign exchange earnings, if you look at the trend below, has been growing quite significantly, and in the last year it was 17%. If we look at from a GDP contribution, in the last 5 years, it is 23% of our GDP, which is a pretty significant point. And I think the more important point to be kept in mind is that it's one of the highest employment generators for our economy. If we look at where does the demand come from, it's a mixture of foreign tourist arrivals and domestic tourists. If you look at the foreign tourist arrivals, we are about 10 million last year. But if we compare that to a country like Singapore, which is 17 million, we still have some way to go. But interestingly, compared to last year, we've had more than 10% growth in the number of foreign tourist arrivals into the country. So that's on the positive side. And if you look at a breakup of most of these countries and the travelers who come from there, the majority of the people who are involved or coming on these arrivals are basically involved in leisure travel or holiday. So that's really the prime area that most people come to India for. There is obviously a lot of potential for medical tourism as well, which is also picking up as we are going ahead. If we look at the statistics, the supply is up. We are seeing a number of hotel chains continue to grow and have new plans for India. If you look at the supply of hotel rooms, it is basically spread in the three major cities of Mumbai, New Delhi, and Bangalore. That's where we have seen a lot of the new supply coming in. Going forward, though, we think that most of the supply will be in the mid-market and Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. If you look at a historic timeline of what has been happening since 2008, when the financial crisis happened, 2008-9 was really when the global financial crisis happened, and that really resulted in a significant dip in the hotel industry. That was also to do with the amount of supply which was there vis-a-vis the demand. And if you see 2007-8, the occupancy was 69%, which dropped to around less than 60% in 2008-9. And if you see the statistics, the growth rates were negative for some time, and it is only recently that the growth rates have started to become positive, which is a good thing for the future. The other point which I would like to bring is that the way that hotel chains are expanding, there is not that exuberant sort of supply which people used to do earlier. I think now the estimates made by various hotel groups and supply which comes into the market is more realistic and keeping in mind the market conditions. So if you look at the statistics in 2007-8, over a lakh of rooms was expected. But if you look at 16-17, it is less than 50,000. It's not that it is not profitable or not growing, but I think it's more a realistic sense of the market. On the positive side, I think this is good for the hotel industry. Occupancy rates recently are more than 65%. The revenue per available room is also up. Average room rates are up. If you look at occupancy rates specifically in Mumbai and Delhi, it's more than 80% up. So as such, I think the hotel industry in the last 2 years is really growing fast, and I think is on the mend, and I think we have a very positive future. Some of the other important things from an economic perspective is where are really the supply happening. A majority of the supply is happening in the mid-market segment. The other important part is as India is growing and the economy grows, it is the tier 2, tier 3 cities which are improving the economic basis. There is more disposable income, and therefore you have even more domestic tourists coming in. This obviously provides further impetus to the hotel industry. The other strategy I think which hotels are looking at is, rather than owning hotels, they are looking more at a asset-light strategy, where a number of the large hotel chains are looking to do management contracts, and some of the lesser hotel chains or the mid-tier hotel chains are also looking to do franchisee, using franchisees to expand their network. On the other important trend that we see is more from a digitization perspective. We see a lot of online travel agencies getting into this business. And secondly, we also see hotels setting up their own websites and digital platforms, which kind of help them to even improve their margins, get a better feel of the customers, get a better sense of the demand, and also try and improve their services. Some of the issues which are there from an hotel industry perspective is that everyone's looking to, obviously it's easier to buy an operating hotel than to get into greenfield, because greenfield has the time, a long gestation period, a number of licenses, etc., to get the construction off the ground. We believe there is a shortage of trained manpower, which can only improve in the future. There is a high cost of land to start off the business. There is also obviously high borrowing costs, and the interest rates are not yet softened in the economy to really give this a bit of a boost. But hopefully as we move along and inflation stays in control, that should come down. If that does come down, then obviously it's good for development of hotels. Higher FSI is always the ask to improve and get larger and better hotels into place, and more efficient hotels. If I look at emerging trends, obviously the first one everyone knows, it's the home sharing sort of Airbnb sort of scenario. The second part linked to the home sharing is to do with co-workings like the WeWorks of the world. We also see hotel lobbies being used to do a lot of business. So a lot of hotels are spending time on improving lobbies and to make it a place where one can work, meet, and do business. The other interesting trend is that hotels try and bring a bit of local interaction into the whole thing, so that you feel when you go to a hotel, then try and make you imbibe with the culture of the city or the place you're in. That sort of experience is quite important. Social media, of course, is playing a big role in all our lives, whether it's in the hotel industry or any other industry. And that really helps you to track a lot of the customers. It also tries to, you can improve your experience for the customer and give customer delight. And at the same time, the customers are also very easily able to criticize or, give you strong feedback, which is broadcast to a lot of the world. Another interesting trend is that a lot of the hotels now getting to virtual reality, where you can actually see the rooms before you book it, which also gives a good idea to the customer that what sort of hotel is he getting into. And it also gets incumbent on the hotels to kind of improve their digital platforms and to give a good experience to someone who comes and visits the website. Loyalty programs are getting more specific and more customer centric, and that's another important thing. On the travel side, you have travel agencies which not only just book tickets, but it does the whole tickets plus hotels plus lodging, travel, excursions, etc. So that's another important trend. There is a lot of emphasis now on technology, where you have a keyless entry as being one of them, and last but not least is the data analytics platform. A lot of the hotels and a lot of the industry is using data analytics to really improve upon their whole experience. So if you look at digitization, it's really being used between the one is to obviously optimize revenues. Secondly is to improve your capital investments. The third is to improve website, because website is now one of the immediate things that people look at, and if your website is good, that kind of attracts you to that particular hotel. I think the other interesting trend is on the energy part. A lot of hotels are moving towards green hotels, as well as trying to cut energy costs by using solar and other renewable sort of situations where they have solar platforms on top of the rooftop solar, as we call it, which is also helping to improve the energy costs. And that's something which hotel owners are kind of spending time on and trying to get more efficient. If you look at the customer experience, I already spoke about leveraging technology through keyless check-ins, improving on the room service or the concierge services using digital technology. In rooms you have sort of applications at your hand which you can get any service with just a click of a finger. If you look at some of the other parts is on the hotel rooms getting more smarter, the lighting all through more technology using hand motion, etc., to switch on, switch off, or any of those other things. So I think what we're really seeing is that a lot of digitization happening in the hotels and the hotel experience, and that's what some of the larger chains or most of the hotel chains globally, as well as in India, are spending time and money on. I think to end, I think there are 3 or 4 key themes that we would look at. One is more a localization of the hotel experience. Secondly is the customer experience itself. I think a lot of, like I've already said, a lot of emphasis being made on making a customer delight experience and making sure that it is, the customer feels good, gets feedback, is able to give feedback, and the next time he comes to the hotel, he's able to get what he wants. The next part is that, interestingly, the competition is not just the normal hotel chains. We have also chains like IKEA, Hard Rock, Armani, which are not normally associated with hotels but are really getting into this business, not only globally but also into India. And last but not least, of course, using technology to improve one's return on investment so as to make it efficient and a money-making experience for everybody. Last is just something that we did for the Royal Caribbean cruise on a digitization platform. We kind of digitized the whole experience, including creating an app for the customer and also for the company to kind of track its customers and also improve on its revenues. That's all I had, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. I think you raised a number of very interesting points, very similar to Sri Lakshmi Narayan Tripati ji, when you focused on the need to focus on customer delight, because in one of our previous initiatives, we learned that, when you walk into a hotel, nobody's going to say, wow, the Wi-Fi is working, because you expect it to work. Nobody's going to say, wow, the bed was comfortable, because you expect the bed to be comfortable. But if the customer service is great, your guest is going to say, yes, wow, the customer service was great. And not only they will not tell you, but they'll put it on social media as well, and the whole world will get to know about it. So the need to focus on customer delight, I think, is a very, very interesting point and something that we all need to, it's a good take home for all of us. So thank you very much. Well, as a token of our appreciation, I'd like to request Ms. Madhu Chandok, if she's here, to hand over the memento. No, she's not here. Okay, then I'll request Ganesh to please come on the stage, our director, to hand over the memento to Gaurav for spending your valuable time with us this morning. Some energy, please.